These are some of the most fun RTS games you can play, and even if you're watching this once the sale is over, it will still prove a valuable game guide for you. So let me recommend a few dozen RTS games and tell you how much they are on sale up to December 8th on Steam, starting with RTS games which are 90% off right now. First of these very highly discounted games is Homeworld Deserts of Kharak, which is the last Homeworld game worth speaking of since Homeworld Mobile was closed down, or you have a VR set and are interested in Homeworld Vast Reaches. If you don't go deeper than the recent reviews, you might get the wrong picture that the game is somehow bad, but people are giving it thumbs down only for not having any support anymore and being tied into the Epic's online store. Battlefleet Gothic Armada is the second game on sale at 90% that I would recommend, despite the ghost town in multiplayer or lack of new patches, because its developers nailed down the Warhammer 40k lore with a thunderhammer in every single aspect. So despite there not being any base building, the game has several features and game modes to keep you playing for a long time and enjoying stunning visuals, which is just another reason you might like it.
What shall we talk about?
Another title you can't go wrong with, especially at 85% off, is Command & Conquer and its Remastered collection. Except that you might end up eating yourself inside for giving any money to Electronic Arts. Everything about the original Command & Conquer and Red Alert games was redone with love and dedication, including music, graphics, map editor, and even something added like replays for multiplayer, so you can watch over and over how players just use tank spam to win every match. If you want to go even more retro but without the remastered part, which I hope to God I can announce one day, Metal Fatigue is also on sale at 85%. Its main merits are modular mecha for which you can steal parts of enemy wrecks, along with combat happening underground, at ground level but also in orbit. You might have to fight some resolution and UI readability issues, but that fight is going to still be worth it when you gain an experience by which you can judge many new RTS games. A game that is somewhat newer is Order of War, but it is not as well rated, even though it has very good gameplay, so despite being on the same 85% off sale, you might find several issues that could make your experience problematic. If it runs well on your PC, you will be able to enjoy World of Conflict-like gameplay in a World War II setting, and then you will just want to play that game too. Unfortunately, it is no longer on Steam, but you can actually get it for free on Massgate.org. While World War II games are a dime a dozen, World War I games are quite rare, and good ones are almost impossible to find. Some might not agree with me, but I think Petroglyph gave it their best shot when they made the Great War Western Front, and it is at 80% off now. On one hand, splitting the gameplay into real-time trench warfare and turn-based management layer might have been a bridge too far for the devs, but on the other hand, it has very fun gameplay once you give it a chance. I guess they can make up for it if they give us Star Wars Empire at War 2. The original is not on sale, I checked. One game we certainly won't be seeing another sequel for is Supreme Commander, which is also at 80% off. The streaming economy, the scale of warfare, the power of the command unit set the stage for one of the most beloved RTS games ever. Chris Taylor isn't going back to this, but he did give his blessing to the developers of Century Shattered Sun, which is its spiritual successor. So as you wait for that one and its 2026 Kickstarter demo, why not drop your commander and start building? Maybe because Supreme Commander Forged Alliance still exists and people still play it. Yes, the official standalone expansion, which is the gold standard for many RTS fans to this day and who play it in multiplayer actively, is also on sale and also at 80% off. And additionally, if you go and join the Forged Alliance Forever community, which kept on updating and developing this game for us all since 2011, you can download and enjoy co-op campaigns, smarter AIs, new game modes and maps with up to 16 players in matchmaking. As I mentioned, World War II games are a dime a dozen, and some have almost as many sequels, so you should know that Sudden Strike 4, 3, 2 and the original are on sale at 60 to 80% off, and the 5th sequel is in the works, which I mentioned in my RTS news videos, which I will link as a playlist down in the description, and up here on the right for those who might have missed it. Played on a smaller scale, but with lots of details in its gameplay and single-player campaigns, each is worth playing. Now, this next one is on the same 80% off sale, but it is totally different, and many people liked it for that exact reason, which is why Bad North Jotunn Edition has a huge number of positive reviews, which is rare for such a small roguelike game. It is almost like a mini-game, but it's not easy to play, so you will either love it and give it a positive review after enjoying it, or hate it and grudgingly give it a positive review because you won't find a reason to justify a bad review. Moving on to games that are 75% off, I want to explain why the small-scale combat and limited base building in Hell of Wars Definitive Edition works for it, and many enjoyed playing it. Some might say it gets a huge pass because it's based on a beloved franchise, but I think it's because its campaign is both addictive and challenging, while the gameplay is easy to get into, but hides aspects which take a long time to master. No, the sequel is not available on Steam yet, but Steam always wins in the end, so I have hope. An even older game that you can get at the same 75% off sale is Heroes of Annihilated Empires, which tried to mix a lot of RPG elements into the RTS genre, and if you ask me, pulled it off quite well. It has a ton of content as well as heroes, races and units, a highly vibrant art style, and even if it did age quite a bit, I still recommend it. Do note the Steam edition has some small issues, which is why it is another great opportunity for a remaster which would bring it back to its original glory. I can't really skip mentioning that Supreme Commander 2 is on sale at 75% off, but I know that some of you might want me to. Regardless of the fact that its gameplay received some badly received changes compared to the original, it still found many players who enjoyed playing it. Streamlining the gameplay is a notion I avoid even saying, but here it has to be used, and the player base not only noticed, but full-on rebelled against it. Small wonder it was the last sequel devs ever made. Something different happened with the Company of Heroes franchise. The first game was well received, 80% off on sale, and still is loved to this day, but the second game, now on sale at 75% off, really launched its popularity to the moon, so much so in fact that when the third game came out, 60% on sale, even small problems became large in the eyes of its audience, me included. So Company of Heroes 2 remains the most played, even if not most positively reviewed game of the franchise. Another huge franchise is the Wargame series, and it too has a large game bundle that sells for 75% off right now. Those games don't offer any base building, but their land, air and even naval modern combat on a huge scale has been enjoyed by RTS fans for over a decade now. Wargame Red Dragon turned into a major hit for the developers, and while they have made several more games in different settings, none of them have managed to get as many players interested. Besides EA, the other game publishing company I try to give as little money as possible is Ubisoft. But besides its Anno series, which is basically the only one keeping it afloat these days, I would give them a few bucks for Tom Clancy's EndWar, especially at 70% off. This is one of the rarest games for Ubisoft, because it was one where they tried to do something new and unique. I know, right? It's unbelievable for a company that has published 15 Assassin's Creed games, 13 Far Cry games, 13 Anno games, 8 The Settler games, and 4 Heroes of Might and Magic games. If I missed any, let me know. As for games which we had too few of, there is the beloved Rise of Nations, which has an extended edition at 67% off on sale right now. What made it so memorable for me and many others was its fantastic blend of base building and resource collection with constant warfare while moving across ages with different civilizations. No, Rise of Nations Rise of Legends is still not on Steam, but Empire Eternal is a spiritual successor I showcased on my channel. At 65% off, we have two Age of Empires games from Microsoft. First of these is Age of Empires 2 and its Definitive Edition, which at this point has 42 civilizations and 229 campaign missions, spread across many DLCs, newest of these being Chronicles Alexander the Great. Besides being one of the most recognizable franchises in RTS history, it still rules in both single-player and multiplayer communities, meaning you will find many to play it with, if you can handle getting your butt kicked, of course. And even if you choose to get into Age of Empires 4 during its sale at 65% off, you will only find a slightly less difficult game to learn while running into maybe even more competitive players, as even Warcraft and Starcraft players joined in on the fun of stomping on us noobs. On the other hand, there is a lot of single-player content to enjoy with a growing library of DLCs, the latest of which is Dynasties of the East, which all inevitably ruin the MP balance. So I think you will find something to enjoy in this one too. A somewhat new and less known indie sci-fi space RTS game that is on sale at 60% off is Dustfleet, not to be confused with the highly anticipated Dustfront. It has been updated many times by its developer, who tried his best to fix all reported issues, and I'm just sorry this game hasn't found more fans, as it blends both fantastic spaceship combat and a map management layer with customization. I guess it was only missing some better world building or high budget cinematics and cutscenes to catch more eyes. On the other hand, Nebulous Fleet Command, which is at 50% off, also lacks these elements, even though the developers are working on a proper single player right now, and it did find far more players. Even if not all are happy with the recent gameplay change after the introduction of carriers and strikecraft. Nonetheless, there is no finer game that gives you spaceship battles which play out like naval engagements at sea. 19th century pre-strikecraft and 21st century post-strikecraft update. Counter Clash is also on a 50% sale, and it is a very new game which I have shown a few times on my channel before. It is far more light-hearted and colorful with a stylish design and not too complicated gameplay everyone can get into in just a few minutes. By the look of it, not many players ever found their way to its Steam store page, but I hope that can change starting now. It has a single-player campaign, a battle mode similar to Skirmish, and even a test grounds mode so you can, test stuff out. Last but not least, we come to Age of Mythology Retold and its sale at 50% off. A fantastic entry point for new RTS players, even young ones like my own 7-year-old son, who will spend 4 hours in a single skirmish match and over several days just to produce 10 titans to smash enemy bases and scream and spit his joy at my PC monitor. So, young or old, players fall in love with all the lore, god powers, magical beasts and mythical heroes, and more coming with each new DLC. There are more RTS games on sale, especially if you look past the 50% off range like EndWar or The Scouring, but I added links to those in the description of this video. So I will stop here and invite you to check out my RTS news series, which shows you all the upcoming RTS games you can look forward to and also what is fresh content in those that have been released. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!